More than 2 years after our last live AviaDev Europe in Valencia, we are coming back to Valencia with AviaDev Europe 2022 this November, and this also means that I can welcome back on the team Tony Hallwood as Aviation Development Director. So welcome back, Tony.
That's very kind, Juraj. I'm looking forward to being part of the dynamic, forward-thinking AviaDev Europe team in Valencia 2022.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're excited to have you back as well, for sure. So what you've been doing in the last 2 years? What kept you busy? Or how you kept busy yourself when basically everything stopped?
Well, I must admit, apart from looking forward to re-engaging with my airport and airline contacts across Europe and the UK, it's actually been a very busy time. I think for those who know me as a person will realise that I don't let grass grow under my feet. And over the last 2 years, apart from planning for recovery from an aviation perspective, I've been exploring other new opportunities outside of travel as well, and widening business connections, whilst also making sure that I retain existing business relationships. And I think critically, it's about helping others. And certainly over the last 2 years, I've come into contact with people who are starting a new business, who maybe need a bit of help and support. And it's been my pleasure to kind of put hand on heart and say, I'd love to help you, especially given the difficult, challenging economic climate. And, my love of travel over the last 35 years has meant that actually I've been very, very proud to support not just AviaDev Europe, but also another fledgling business called Low Season Traveller. And they've come to the market over the last 18 months over COVID, trying to create awareness of the opportunity of travelling worldwide in the low season. And ironically, COVID has created an opportunity for the business. So telling people where they can travel in the off season, where they can get a better experience, and of course get lower costs, and of course have a much more enjoyable time. And I suppose on the back of that, I was then looking at using my kind of previous broadcasting experience in a PR perspective. And over the last couple of months, I've now been working with a new radio station that's about to launch in the northwest of England. And more about that in a couple of months' time. But just remember the name Happy Radio. A big smile on my face and on the face of the listeners as well, as we start to kind of make great inroads to the fantastic radio community. And of course, people listen to radio more often than not these days, whether they're in the car or on podcasts. So we're looking to really kind of help and support another new business to kind of raise its awareness. And then finally, and this is what's probably one of the other most exciting parts, I've been working with a TV production company, and we're looking for an airline or an airport across Europe to work with, to really be not just a fly on the wall, but to explain how they can grow and develop their business, and actually show how the business links with the leisure community, with the tourism boards, to really show the success of what aviation is all about. So It's been a busy time, Juraj, and the last 2 years have actually, if I dare use the analogy, it's flown by. But to be fair with you, it has been a challenging time for us all. And I think it's important to kind of recognise that I've had a chance to spend time with my wife, visit our sons who have been in London, either socially distanced or within the confines of the regulations. And just keeping in touch with friends, and making sure that the relationships that you built up are there for the future. And then lastly, above all else, let's put a bit of excitement back into our discussion. It's all about planning for my future personal travel. I'm still excited, I'm sure, like your listeners as well, as to where they can now go. And over the last 2 years, we've all been really restricted in what we can do. It's the longest time that I've ever lived with no overseas travel, or no flights for the last 18 months. And that's really disappointing for somebody who's been, there's travel in my blood, and I want to get back out there to explore this wonderful world of ours, explore new cultures and experiences. But more importantly, is get up there in an aircraft and really kind of help to get these aviation partners back in business again, where they truly belong.
So many exciting points I want to touch on. I mean, one of the last things you said, happy radio. You just said happy radio, and there was a smile on my face without knowing a single thing about what this radio will be about. But of course, best regards to Jed Brown, our former member of our team and a great friend of AviaDev, the CEO and founder of Low Season Traveler. Fingers crossed for all your effort in that business, guys. And I know we have our mutual friend who doesn't know about us, of course, and his name is Tony Robbins. And I know you've been at one of his events. I'm just following him from the distance. And I recently listened to a podcast interview with him, where he was answering this sort of a question: what's the meaning of life? And he immediately said, growing and giving. And this is also what you said a couple of times during this first question, that supporting, helping the others around us, either in travel, tourism, aviation industry. And I just love that it immediately ring the bell that you're listening good to Tony Robbins as well as I am.
As you're right, no matter how long you're in this business, it's not just about personal gain and benefit. It's about helping your colleagues, helping new businesses, and more important than ever now, as we come out of COVID, let's not kind of look back at the disastrous 2 years we've had. We've now got to look forward, and looking forward means there's always new opportunity. Out of issues and disagreements and problems, there's always commercial potential, and you just need to make sure that you focus your mind on that, put all of your energy behind that, believe in your passion and your belief in what you're doing is right, and then you put every single ounce of energy behind it. And all credit to you, Juraj. Over the last 2 years, you haven't sat back either. You've communicated with the AviaDev community across Europe with your fantastic podcasts, and of course all of the wonderful seminars with all of our great OAG members, and of course airports and airlines. And they respect you for that, because in the end it's about continuing that relationship and partnership. And now it's the time. My glass is half full, as always, so I'm always very, very positive. And I'm positive about the future of our great industry, not just in the long term either. I really do believe that in the short term, there's a great pent-up demand for travel. I appreciate in the short term, business travel is going to take a little bit longer to deliver, and especially from the longer haul perspective. But in the short haul leisure market, I can see in the UK here dramatic pent-up demand for travelling, not just across the UK, which has had a fantastic 2 years in lockdown, but increasingly now to go abroad into the close European network, where COVID restrictions are now being replaced with more looser restrictions or no restrictions at all. And I think once we enter the summer period, we will find that the airline partners will suddenly find that demand will be outstripping supply in certain areas to certain destinations. And long may that happen, and we should encourage that to happen as quickly as possible. We all know that people are excited about travelling and telling people about where they should be going. I want to get back to that point where travel is a point of conversation around the dinner table, where it is around about when people are just meeting in the pub. It's not about where we can't travel, it's where we can travel and where would we suggest we should do so. And that's going to help the airports to expand again, to get back lost business, and of course encourage those airlines to really be a little bit more confident about the future, bringing new services and of course delivering to both the business and the leisure community.
100%. My next question was supposed to be, what are your thoughts on the recovery we are all expecting in 2022? But I think you made yourself very clear that you are on the same boat as most of the experts who are now saying that, and we see it. I mean, many countries, including UK and countries in Scandinavia, are already lifting all the restrictions and barriers for travel and going to life as normal as it can be in this period of year. And the more we go into the year, as you said, I'm confident as well that more countries will join, and maybe the summer will be finally the really great one that everybody in the industry really needs.
Without a question, we can already see that across Europe, the low-cost airlines have already put their money where their mouth is. They've already expanded rapidly the number of bases on offer. The number of routes has dramatically increased. Ryanair and Wizz Air especially, closely followed by some of the leisure low-cost carriers, including EasyJet. They piled in capacity to the holiday destination portfolio. And that's the right way of going about it, because that is where the first shoots of recovery and, more importantly, the higher yielding summer routes will be delivered. So they're very sensible in that approach. And I really do see that really taking over as the mainstay of growth for this summer. We've even seen some of the full service scheduled carriers, even the likes of British Airways and Lufthansa and Finnair, and even I read yesterday Kuwait Airways are looking to kind of tap into to kind of take on board a significant amount of that leisure travel that has been untapped over the last 18 months. People have got lots of disposable income, or I should say a significant number have got disposable income to spend on travel. Sadly, there'll be always some that are going to find it a little bit more challenging in that short term. But of course, that's where the low-cost airlines come in. They can offer a low-cost option closer to home. So I'm very, very confident that therefore will help to re-stimulate the way that the industry is seen. And yes, there's going to be a few bumps on the way. There's going to be a few hiccups. But overall, I think we're now on a really steady growth curve that is going to really deliver some great opportunities. I even see some of the full service scheduled carriers now deciding to introduce premium economy within their seating classes. I think Finnair are the latest airline to start to offer that. And that kind of clearly shows you that they suddenly realise that the business community is going to take a little bit more time to warm up to paying the high yielding traffic fare buckets. But the leisure traveller who's got the high disposable income is willing not to necessarily spend from a business seat perspective, but is willing to pay a little bit more for the higher cost kind of premium seat with the added service that sits behind that. So I think that's
you're absolutely right.
Really
you're absolutely right. Also,
I think we'll see a number of other airlines of the flag carriers across Europe and across the world reintroduce or introduce it for the first time as a means of increasing yield and, of course, increasing long-term credibility and long-term buy-in to some of the new customers. And of course, it's always new route opportunities. No matter how bad the business has been, moving forward, there's always new growth areas. And I'm really pleased to see the way that, your interview last week with the CEO of one of Europe's, newest low-cost airlines serving Stewart International in New York, is a prime example where I see that some of the smaller regional airports, not just across the UK and Europe, but worldwide, have a part to play in the rescuing and recovery of our fantastic industry. They've got a low-cost base. They've got a very keen marketing opportunity. They can really deliver a low cost to the airline. And, of course, more importantly, they can really give a good PR spin on that as well. And I truly believe that some of these smaller airports can take benefit of the rather challenging economic climate and, of course, deliver a really good proposal to the airlines, whether they're UK regional or UK domestic, a European low cost or a European flag carrier. There's always opportunity. Never give up on that opportunity. Always put forward your best foot, and of course, never say no. Keep on fighting, keep on pushing. I'm sure the guys last week who delivered the service that was really delivering to British Airways to Germany. The airport has just gone out of my mind.
Nuremberg. I just wanted to talk about.
I do apologise, guys. But, there's a prime example. I'm sure they've been working on that route for 4 or 5 years. Never give up. And I'm sure they worked even harder during COVID. I know from my own personal experience when I was at Leeds Bradford Airport, it took us 5 years to secure British Airways to introduce a service to Heathrow. So coming out of COVID on the other side, it's a chance for reinvigorating those discussions. And who knows, in 12 months' time, you could be the recipient of a brand new service by a fantastic carrier that's going to kind of catapult and somersault you into a higher league. So I think that's what really is exciting about this industry. In 12 months' time, let's sit back and kind of think back about some of the points I've raised here today. I hope I'm going to be bang on the button.
I'm totally with you, and I have actually the same example. I mean, the airport I was working for before I joined AviaDev, my home airport here in Slovakia, Košice Airport. Even when I joined the airport, which was back in 2012, we already started to work on the route to Dublin. Of course, Ryanair was the number one candidate, and when it happened during the pandemic, so finally, after all those years, Ryanair started to operate that very, very well demanded a route from Košice to Dublin, which is already for a couple of months in operations, very successful. And who could have thought that even during the worst crisis ever in aviation, there are, as you were saying, there are always opportunities. So,
sure, right. When I worked in Bristol 15 years ago, I remember walking into the airport, and after 6 weeks, I announced to the team, I've seen the data. I'm convinced that we can sustain a direct service to New York. The management team thought I was living in the clouds. They thought I was dreaming. And I went, we have to live to dream. And 2 years later, we delivered that transatlantic service. And I think if there's one thing that we should be imploring on our regional colleagues across Europe is aim high, never kind of be happy with what you've got. Always push the boundary, because you push the boundary, your passion and enthusiasm will bring just and right rewards. And actually, I know we've got a few challenges across Europe, and maybe I can just share what I think some of those are with your listeners, because this is about kind of not just recovery, but it's about building those relationships for the future. And actually,
of course, yeah, and there are challenges ahead of everybody, ahead of all members of our community, be it airlines, airports, tourism boards. So yeah, please do share your thoughts on that.
The first point from an airport perspective, and that's where my kind of true experience over the last 15 years has been. And it's about building new relationships, but having historic data to hand. Making sure that you make it easy for the airlines. If you're going to be talking about new routes and services, feed the information on a plate. Don't kind of leave any stone unturned. And actually, that's all about new routes. For existing routes that you've lost, well, you need to start to re-engage to help to rebuild those frequencies. And of course, looking at other airline alternatives, whether that be low cost or a full service carrier. And of course, supporting operators is so important. And I'm pleased to say a lot of airports are now structuring their own route development team to make sure they have a range of marketing kind of arms within their portfolio. Remember, the airlines love you to help them in marketing their services and their products. And we've just highlighted the success of a number of second-line European airports in attracting those airlines. They have now got to work 110% by supporting in that marketing and awareness and PR, because that is just as important as all the work that's gone on in the last 4 or 5 years. So the airports have got a big job to do, but a big opportunity. Airlines, well, what can I say? They've got fleets that are sitting on the ground. There's underutilization. They're going to be really looking around now. Where can I replace capacity? Because they'll be under serious cost-based pressures to increase that revenue as quickly as possible. The leisure opportunities I've highlighted earlier, what I regard as a top priority. But again, we've seen the way that price mechanisms helped. The Wizz and the Ryanair guys have really shown how that can help to stimulate demand. But more importantly, these airlines need to be patient. Let's kind of reintroduce these services, but let's not kind of withdraw them in the short term. The business now has to have some sort of stability, and that's where it becomes a little bit more a challenging position. And then finally, and it's an area that I know AviaDev Europe are going to be focusing on in Valencia in November, and that is working with tourist boards, tourist offices around Europe to help those airlines and help those airports to support not just the marketing, but to help to bring inbound visitors to their region. Explain why it's a great destination, why the airlines should be coming to fly to certain airports, and how that can be supported in the short, medium and longer term. And of course, we would look forward to helping those airlines and airports do that. I know that we're offering any airport that comes to AviaDev Europe in Valencia that they can bring their local or regional tourist office representative with them. It's so important for them to sit in front of the airline and to let them talk about the region to the airline, not just to hear it from the airport.
100%, yeah, and we are doing something what we've been preaching ever since, that it's just inevitable that airports and tourism boards work together as a team, and it does increase their chances to win more routes and more capacity to their destinations. And yeah, that brought me to one of the last questions for our today's chat, which is, what are you looking forward the most in Valencia in November at the event?
Sure, it's getting back to those face-to-face meetings. There is absolutely no replacement. Zoom has done a great job. Virtual seminars have had their place, but I think we've had enough of those. It's time to kind of get in front of somebody, talk about your business opportunity, secure the deal, and actually get this business back rolling and taking off again. Networking in a very informal, relaxed setting like we're planning in Valencia, I believe is a really good first step. And actually it's about seizing the opportunity, showing the passion that sits behind our business. And of course, AviaDev Europe is not just about work. It's about being treated to some entertainment and relaxation with our hosts. And I have no qualms that Valencia are going to do a great job again. We'll be able to soak up a bit of sun as well, I'm sure, in between meetings. And of course, putting my low season hat on, Valencia is the perfect low season destination outside the high season, where you can explore the city, its conference area, the region. It really is an undiscovered gem within Spain. And of course, the airport is growing. The number of routes and services are expanding. So it's a great opportunity for airports and airlines to come to Valencia. You never know, it could be on your network again in 2023. And then finally, it's all about questioning and challenging and highlighting what people think is going to happen for the future. Nobody has the crystal ball with all the answers, but I believe we can talk and we can kind of help support each other. And of course, plan for a true recovery in our aviation industry, which is long overdue, and one which can really put aviation back on the kind of platform that it truly deserves as an economic driver of jobs, sustainability, and of course, bringing regional, local and national wealth to our own individual national economies. And of course, in addition to that, hopefully we'll be able to then plan ahead for AviaDev 23 with a potential new destination partner, and of course working ahead to really support all of our kind of airports and airlines. That's what excites me, and I can't wait to get started.
Wouldn't say it better myself. So great to have you back on the team. Welcome back, Tony. And before we say goodbye, my last question. As far as I can remember, I don't think you joined us in 2019 at our previous live event in Valencia for the morning run, but I'm pretty sure you will do that this November. So what happened in those 2 years, in addition to what you've already told us?
Yes, in 2019, I have to be honest with you, I did step away from your morning run, but I can assure you in 2022, I will be at the head of the pack. And the reason behind that is lockdown. Spring 2020 was a turning point for me. As the country and Europe came to a standstill, I truly decided that I needed to get more healthy, fitter, and I needed to get on the move. So it wasn't about standstill, it was about really getting active again. And so I signed up, for me, what was a major challenge. I signed up for the Couch to 5K challenge. And in the UK, it's kind of caught the imagination of people nationwide. And over a 12-week period, myself and my wife gradually built up our stamina, our desire to kind of push our bodies and our minds a bit further. So 400 meters, 800 meters, a kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers. And to cut a long story short, we ran our first 5K after 3 months. And since then, it has given us fitness, it has given us enthusiasm and passion to keep going, to the point now where I now run every other day, a minimum of 5K, whether it's sunshine, whether it's hail, rain, cloudy, it doesn't really matter. It's getting out there, focusing on something that is achievable, never necessarily pushing the boundaries to gain the fastest time, but to actually clearly show that as a non-runner a couple of years ago, I can now kind of do something, at my young age that actually is really pushing the boundaries. And so it's like in business, you set personal targets, you set realistic goals, and it's realistic goals that I'm all about now. And that's been very rewarding. So much so that I'm now, I'm moving on. 5K is not enough. So over the last few months, I've now run a few 10Ks in Manchester, in North Wales. And next weekend, I'm running in my local 10K in Hale in Cheshire. And I'm looking for a PB, a personal best. But it's not about that. It's all about the camaraderie of running with other people who've gone through the same pain barrier. And it's a bit like our industry. We've all suffered over the last 2 years. Now is the time to turn that around, face forward, and look to the future with confidence. And when I'm out running, I'm always putting my mind into a business gear. How can I help and how can I deliver some new business opportunities? So I'm also looking forward to any aviation 5 or 10Ks in 2022, where I can meet all of our wonderful compatriots across the aviation industry, and we can run together helping to support our great industry.
And we will definitely do that in Valencia, also while supporting local charity at the same time. And yeah, you are one of the perfect examples also that, you are never too old to learn new things. You are never too old to start something new. And you just absolutely brilliant example. And hats off, congratulations to all of what you achieved also in the last 2 years. Can't wait to meet you and our fantastic community in Valencia this November. And in the meantime, to working with you to prepare the best AviaDev Europe ever.
Juraj, I'm looking forward to it immensely. And in the meantime, to everybody or anybody who's looking to register and attend AviaDev Europe, you have my assurance that I'll be here to support you along the way. helping you in terms of maybe touching base with a new airline or a new airport. And if there's any way I can personally help you in terms of my wealth and vast experience in securing new routes and services, I'm happy to do so at no charge. It's all part of the service of AviaDev Europe.
Fantastic. Yeah, it was great talking to you. Thanks a lot for your time today. Keep well, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Juraj. Look forward to seeing you and everybody in Valencia at the end of 2022.